back to you.
All right, Sherry Lee, thank you very much.
So just how did this deal get done? Are there winners and losers in this? And we just might be back to this point again, might we, in just a few months. For more on that, we're joined now by Niels Lesniewski. Niels is the staff writer with Roll Call. Good to see you again in this day that things, I don't know, for you, I know you've been watching this minute by minute, but it feels a little lighter already. What's your feeling now?
Right, it certainly does. You know, we're starting to see, of course, federal workers returning to work this morning. The Smithsonian museums are supposed to be open today, although the zoo isn't supposed to be opening up until tomorrow. And that's largely a good example of how it's going to be for the broader federal government. It'll take a little bit of time to get everything back to normal. So it's basically a call ahead sort of situation for the day. It's almost like we're dealing with the aftermath of a winter storm or something in that regard. I was going to liken it to that, right. I was going to liken it to that. So for the paychecks, though, I have a friend who works for the CDC, and she said, when I do get paid, it will only be, though, for, you know, a small amount at first. How will furloughed workers, what can they expect to see in their paychecks? Well, what happened was the deal that was reached will give them, the furloughed workers, back pay for the time that they weren't working. But it's not entirely clear as of this morning how long it'll take the sort of federal payroll systems and disbursement offices to get that money into the paycheck. So it might be that the first paycheck's short, and then there'll be a lump sum that'll come in the coming weeks. But as quickly as possible is what they're saying. Right. Okay. For the last-minute wranglings and the dealings and the feeling on the Hill last night, can you put us in that space? Well, what happened yesterday, it was sort of anticlimactic at some point in time, because this deal was basically known about, I guess it was 2 nights ago now, and that was the night where things were really suspenseful, where people were sort of milling around the hallways of the Capitol and were just waiting for some sort of news and every little nugget about whether or not there would be the back pay, whether or not it would deal with the situation with D.C. so that it could access all of its local money, all the various machinations. That was sort of largely ironed out a couple of nights ago. And yesterday we were just left with the concern of, okay, is there anything else that can possibly go wrong? Because this has already been going on for, 16 days. Maybe something else will happen, but thankfully it got through. We saw John Boehner there, Speaker, with the big gavel and the smile on his face. Who really gave up what in this, in the last moments we have together today? Well, largely what happened, this was largely a deal where the Democrats got basically everything they wanted in terms of the fully funding of the health care law, and there's no real nuggets that they had to give up in that regard. The one thing they did have to give up, but they had given up very early in the process, is they're not going to be having quite as much federal spending overall as they would have liked, but that's pushed off until the next budget negotiations in January and February. And we can count those months on our hand now, so not that far down the road. Niels, thanks so much for being here with us for this part of the story, and it does continue. Thank you.